Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode where you know the culture is news. I'm sure you guys have heard by now that ABC has canceled the revival of the Roseanne show following a tweet from Roseanne Barr herself that suggested that former President Barack Obama's White House advisor, Valerie Jarrett, was the product of the Muslim Brotherhood and the Planet of the Apes. In other words, she's saying that the woman looked like a monkey. Well, the president of ABC Entertainment, Channing Dungey, forgive if I am mispronouncing her name, she released a statement saying that Roseanne's Twitter statement is abhorrent, repugnant, and inconsistent with our values, and we have decided to cancel her show. But prior to that announcement, Barr did apologize to Jarrett for making a bad joke about her politics and her looks. The tweet was deleted, and she made another tweet saying she's leaving Twitter. On Tuesday night, Roseanne returned to Twitter to apologize again and to leave a message to her fans. She said, don't feel sorry for me, guys. I just want to apologize to the hundreds of people and the wonderful writers, all liberal and talented actors who lost their jobs on my show due to my stupid tweet. She also announced that she would be on Joe Rogan's podcast this Friday. I just want to say that the tweet itself was not only irresponsible and deplorable, it was just disgusting in general. And I'm saying that because I personally am not a fan of people being compared to monkeys at all. I don't care what race, creed, color, gender, or whatever. I'm just not a fan of it. And the reason I'm saying that is because whenever someone is called a monkey or being compared to a monkey, it's being done as a form of with intent to insult the person, basically. There's a lot of malice and ill intent behind it. So, do I feel like Rosie deserves to be dragged for making a stupid joke like that? Absolutely. It was just a fucking stupid joke. And not only that, it wasn't funny. It's not something that even should have been laughed at, even if she was trying to be funny. So she absolutely deserves her dragging for that. But do I feel that her show should have been canceled? Nope. Absolutely not. And there are a number of reasons why. A much more formal apology and maybe possibly a temporary halt on production would have sufficed. But a complete and total cancellation of her show, no, I do not agree with that. I believe that her fan base, those 18 million viewers who watched the show when it began airing a couple months back, should have been the people to determine if the show itself should stay on air or not, just as Bill Maher's fan base and all of his celebrity friends and supporters were allowed to make the decision to keep his show on the air after he said the N-word on his Real Time with Bill Maher television show last year back in June of 2017. Yeah, in case we all have forgotten, Bill Maher said the N-word on his show in front of his studio audience, who also laughed and applauded after he said it. Of course, him saying it sent social media and Twitter into chaos, but ironically, much of the chaos came from his supporters and celebrity friends who was defending the guy. He apologized. HBO made sure to carefully calculate the next episode. I wouldn't be surprised if they scripted the whole damn thing. But whatever the case, they created a situation where they had somebody black come on to not only discuss the N-word, but to openly chastise Bill about his use of the word. The person they chose was none other than rapper Ice Cube, and both men were later joined on that panel discussion by Professor Klump. And Bill and his producers were, again, it was so carefully planned and scripted, it's not even funny. But they aired the episode, and when Bill Maher took the stage in that episode, it was to a standing ovation and shouts of "We love you, Bill" from his very loyal audience. And his show has been allowed to air ever since. He's also been allowed to thrive in terms of employment ever since. So I feel as though Rosie should too. Why not? Apparently this whole free speech thing including but not limited to behavior exercised on a television show and social media, is okay. But what I'm noticing is that it depends on what's being said and whether or not the person who says it is liberal or conservative in terms of their personal views. And this brings me to my next point, which is I feel the issue that everyone has isn't even with Roseanne or her tacky ass joke. The issue is with Donald Trump. And that's why Bill Maher and his show has been allowed to stay on the air and Roseanne was instantly canceled. Bill Maher, who is openly liberal, doesn't support Trump and has outright made it clear how much he hates the guy. Roseanne, on the other hand, who has very conservative views at times, she loves Trump. And right now we are living in a social political climate where people are getting very carried away with what largely seems to be an obsession with ideologies and symbolism. This really shouldn't be hard to tell because the cancellation of Roseanne's show was met with jubilation on social media. It was as if it was a spiritual proxy for the impeachment of Donald Trump, almost as if they had made an announcement, a formal announcement that Donald Trump wouldn't be president anymore. This is how you can tell that it's not about the show itself. It's about Donald Trump. Because if it were about the show, ABC would have never revived it to begin with. Roseanne Barr has been firing off racist, homophobic, Islamophobic, conspiracy-ridden tweets for years. Some of the folks pissed at Roseanne for her tweet was just screaming, "Yes, girl, yes, read her." Only but a few months ago when Roseanne appeared on the Wendy Williams show and clapped at Wendy, who made a joke about Roseanne's ex Tom Arnold, and Roseanne fired back making a joke about her husband and her failed marriage. But all of that is neither here nor there. The point I'm trying to make is that ABC knew about Roseanne's very public and hateful social media speech and presence, but they gave her a primetime show any damn way. They made a deal with a ticking time bomb, basically. They brought the show back and didn't care. And they also made sure to tackle every single controversial social, political issue in terms of how the show would be written, even down to the types of characters they wanted to include. The motivation was money and sponsors, which they knew would be driven by the show's high ratings. And they knew that the ratings would be high based on the demand, being that Roseanne Barr's online personality on social media is really popular, coupled with the fact that the show itself was really popular in the late 80s and 90s when it ran. So they likely hoped that her show would make it a few good seasons, at least long enough where they could rake in $1 billion in revenue before she did anything so egregious that they'd have to deal with it, which they expected to come later on down the line. So ABC knew exactly what they were doing and they knew why they were doing it. I just feel like if you feel as though ABC canceled the show because they actually care about your feelings and ideologies, you're wrong. This is the same network that pulled a Blackish episode because they said allegedly it was addressing athletes in the NFL kneeling. But this same network couldn't wait to put Roseanne back on the air. Yeah, okay. The real reason, and it's been put out there over the past 24 hours, that ABC canceled the show is because a sponsor had pulled out. They called them up and they pulled out. And anyone who works in business knows that companies respond to market turbulence. And that's how, or rather what is the determining factor in what stays and what goes. So basically, ABC realized that they could lose a little bit of money behind this. So Rosie had to go. And I feel ABC should not be dubbed some sort of heroes for canceling the show. I do not know why everybody is piping this new president up as some sort of hero as well, because she also had control over whether or not that Blackish episode could have aired, and she decided not to. In a nutshell, I'm just not here for giving extra credit to people for grabbing a mop to clean up mess that they made. This situation could have been completely avoided had they left Roseanne Barr's ass over on social media to herself to talk the crap that she does over there and not decided to revive the show in the first place. But they revived it anyway in spite of that. So ABC could miss me trying to get all self-righteous now. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not defending Roseanne Barr, But I am defending one's right to have a job and to remain employed, regardless of what their personal opinions may be or how popular they are to everybody else. I'm not a comedian, but as a writer, a businesswoman, and someone who understands discernment, she was just being a comedian. She was just trying to make a joke. It was a tacky joke. It was a disgusting joke. It was a joke made in poor taste. Absolutely. It should not have been done. However, she apologized, and that should be the end of it. Just like we let Bill Maher make his joke, apologize, and that was the end of it. I personally do not like what I am witnessing. I feel like we're living in a social climate where we cannot have a unpopular opinion about anything, and that we have to watch what we say constantly. And I feel like all of this is going to backfire in the worst way in the future. And if you cannot see that coming, I wish you the best of luck, because I feel like we're stepping into dangerous territory with this, and it's going to be a trickle down effect that we are not going to like. And let's keep it all the way real. If Rosie's monkey comment had been directed towards Donald Trump himself or Kanye West or someone the general consensus doesn't like, she'd still have a show. And I dare any one of you to tell me I'm lying.